you see patriots being caught by the scruff of their neck and thrown out of the newly minted Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. Viewers, you would think these pictures where people speaking for India are thrown out in their own country from an assembly would be in Pakistan. No, viewers, this is not Pakistan, this is not Bangladesh, this is Srinagar. This is Kashmir. This is Jammu and Kashmir. Viewers, in the garb of democracy, the newly minted India Bloc government in Jammu and Kashmir is undermining the national unity. Look how those who swear by the Constitution and asked you to vote to uphold it just about 6 months ago are today wanting to replace it with a parallel constitution. That's right, in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly today, the writ of the Supreme Court was treated contemptuously by bringing a resolution to reinstate Article 370 that is part and parcel of the architecture of separatism that blocked Jammu and Kashmir's integration with India by mooting a separate constitution, a separate flag, a separate penal code. Viewers, look at those pictures, and I'm going to stay full frame on those pictures. You see that? That's the poster on the floor of the assembly, hauled up by an individual belonging to Engineer Rashid's party. Separatist in chief, viewers, who's cooling his heels in jail today. His brother, who is an MLA elected to the House, viewers, because the Supreme Court deemed fit to hold elections in this state. Look what he's holding up. Restoration of Article 370 and 35A, release of political prisoners. Viewers, no one in the 29 seats of Jammu that voted for the BJP wants the restoration of Article 370. By holding up this placard, viewers, these individuals from Kashmir are spitting in the face of patriots in Jammu, their own compatriots in Jammu. Viewers, this is the two-nation mentality. Just because we are a little more in number in the valley, it's going to be our way or you can take the highway. Worse, viewers, when some patriotic and law-abiding legislators decided to oppose other India Bloc members who were backing the reinstatement of Article 370. Yes, viewers, it's not just the AIP. The resolution was moved by the government. The India Bloc, viewers, that same India Bloc that holds up the Constitution. Yes, viewers. Think about that. Think about that. Viewers, when some patriotic and law-abiding legislators decided to oppose other India Bloc members who were backing the reinstatement of Article 370 or holding up pro-Article 370 banners, they were thrown out of the assembly. Look at them. They are being pulled, dragged as if they are criminals. Speaking for your motherland, viewers, on the floor of the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly today is a punishable event. That's right. If you just boost the gnat, you will even hear. You will hear the sloganeering, anti-India sloganeering, viewers, as these people are being clapped out, thrown out. It is almost as if the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, as I told you, has been turned into the Pakistani Parliament, for only in Pakistan would legislators be thrown out for supporting the abrogation of Article 370. Next time, viewers, Rahul Gandhi holds up the Constitution, you show them these pictures. You tell him, does your Constitution say anywhere that you cannot unfurl the flag, the national flag of this country? Does the Constitution anywhere say? And you must ask him this question, viewers, that there should be two constitutions in this country. Viewers, the Speaker ordered the eviction of protesting BJP MLAs. Why? Because they said we are not going to allow anyone to sever Kashmir from the Indian Union. Let me remind you tonight that those who threw out Indian patriots are not only undermining India's national interest, but also undermining the writ of the law and constitutionality, the same constitution that they have pledged to uphold. The Supreme Court no less held that Article 370 abrogation was constitutional. And let me take you through. I'm not going to remove those visuals, but also, viewers, I'll put out some graphics, some excerpts of the Supreme Court judgment delivered by the Chief Justice of India on Article 370's abrogation. He says, Article 1 states, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states, applies in its entirety to Jammu and Kashmir. That Article 370, a temporary provision designed to address states' immediate needs. The President has the power to revoke Article 370 in special circumstances, and no limits on President's power to tackle breakdown of constitutional machinery. The abrogation of Article 370 is part of a 70-year process to integrate Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of India. Viewers, anyone today disagreeing with the Supreme Court is actually pushing for the disintegration of India, viewers. The Supreme Court didn't just end there. It said process of reorganization Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories was constitutionally valid. States have no independent sovereignty. They derive existence from the Constitution. Worse, even as this drama was playing out inside the House, outside the Assembly, dreaded jail terrorist and mastermind of of Kashmir Hindu genocide, Yasin Malik's Pakistani wife was petitioning Rahul Gandhi, urging him to use his influence to get her husband free. Viewers, she wrote a lengthy letter to Rahul Gandhi saying that cases have been concocted against her husband. I request you to use your high moral and political influence in the parliament and initiate a debate in the case of Yasin Malik, who could become an instrumentality for bringing organic and not cosmetic peace back to Jammu and Kashmir. The letter has raised eyebrows. Why the BJP is asking? Why other nationalists are asking? Does a separatist wife and India basher think that Rahul Gandhi would lend a sympathetic ear to her pleas? The BJP is also accusing the Congress of humouring her by not rejecting her demand outright. Yasin Malik is no agent of peace. So the Congress should have publicly distanced itself from this plea. Any patriot would have done so. But no, viewers, the Congress hasn't. Look at Yasin Malik's record for yourself. In 1990, Yasin Malik led militants, terrorists, Islamist terrorists, to kill 4 IF personnel, men in uniform. It's an attack on the state. In 2022, NIA court sentenced Malik to life imprisonment in 2017 terror funding case. Malik is accused under UPA of conspiracy to commit terrorist act as a member of a terrorist organization. The NIA says Malik was in constant touch with the ISI, his Pakistan wife, quote, very close to, unquote, the spy agency. NIA evidence to prove that Malik received 15 lakhs from Pakistan to fuse secessionism. Malik has confessed, viewers, on the BBC to orchestrating Neelkant Ganju's assassination. He was a judge, viewers. And that really kicked off the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus. Malik's wife is no friend of India either. In August 2023, Malik was made an advisor to the interim Pakistani Prime Minister Anwar ul Haq Kakkar. A year before that, she said Indian troops have turned Kashmir into a living hell. Indian army has raped 11,250 women, 22,942 widowed in Kashmir. Has this woman ever spoken about POK and the illegal occupation of Pakistan and what it has done there by denying democracy, real democracy, to that part of Pakistan controlled Kashmir, viewers, occupied Kashmir, viewers? No, she hasn't. In September 29, she said, India, the voice of Kashmiris is being suppressed against the injustice. Viewers, it just goes on and on. Despite both Maliks being a threat to India, there has been no official stand taken by the Congress party on their request. But many political observers are not surprised that the Congress has not taken a stand clearly rejecting Malik's plea. They talk of Congress being soft on separatists. And there is some evidence. In 2006, Malik was legitimized, this killer of Hindus. He got a 1-hour meeting with Dr. Manmohan Singh. In 2007, the court stayed the murder trial in the IAF case against Malik. Why? Because the prosecution under the UPA wasn't doing its job. In 2013, he got a passport to travel to Pakistan for a Lashkar-e-Toiba meet. He ended up meeting Hafiz Saeed. 4 years after, viewers, that wretched person carried out the 26/11 attacks on Indian soil. In 2016, he backed, the Congress backed, the UPA backed JNU's infamous Afzal League. In 2024, it endorses a resolution to reinstate Article 370, and viewers, those are the pictures, that's the evident proof of it. Now let's open this up, because a lot of questions have to be asked tonight. And I want to first begin, viewers, with Abid Wani, leader of the National Conference. Mr. Wani, do you believe that the people of Jammu are your brothers? That the National Conference represents their interests? Yes or no?
I don't need to answer this question. This is a total cross. I'm
asking you, sir. Please answer the question for the record. I don't want you to not say, I don't want you to not say I didn't give you an opportunity to answer the question. So please answer the question. Do you believe that the people of Jammu are your brothers? Number one. That the National Conference represents their interests? Yes or no?
Of course, yes, Rahul. No doubt about it.
Okay. Now can I ask you my second question, sir? Do they have no right to express themselves, or are there feelings, sentiments completely superfluous to you? They have voted for the BJP, sir, the people of Jammu. They didn't vote, sir, for the restoration of Article 370. They didn't vote for the restoration of 35A. They didn't vote, sir, to release prisoners, yet their representatives are being pulled by the scruff of their neck and thrown out. Why, sir?
Now, Rahul, in the premise of the debate, you just said about the pandemonium that took place in the Legislative Assembly today. You know, it was contrary to what has happened there. The BJP legislatures, once the resolution was passed, they just stood on the table just in front of the speaker and started doing gestures that were unwarranted, despite the speaker continuously asking them to stop and let us have a fair debate. But they didn't stop and went violent on an independent minister who happens to be Member Parliament Engineer Rashid's brother. So this was all that happened. And yes, I think this shouldn't have happened. The things could have
Mr. Wani,
gone.
I am not going to contest what you're saying. I want to ask you, you're talking about a post facto action. I'm talking about what happened to start this problem. Why was this resolution brought in when you know that the people of Jammu, 50% stakeholders, sir, do not respect the sentiment behind that resolution? Why was it brought in the first place? Because you think that they are Hindu majority Jammu. We don't care about Hindu majority Jammu. We care about Muslim majority Valley. Isn't it, sir? Isn't that the two nation mindset that you are going ahead with? I'm asking you this.
Rahul, this is such a pathetic argument from your side.
How is it, sir?
Just look at our cabinet representation. Is there anything I have to say you about the representation we have given to Jammu? We have a deputy chief minister. For God's sake, we have ministers from Jammu. We have given them undue representation. We didn't got that electoral gain as much as we had expected from Jammu. Yet we gave them a fair share.
Why didn't you get it, sir? Why didn't you get it?
No, it's the voters' choice.
It's not, sir. It is the voters' choice to disagree also with your manifesto, and they have. And you said, I didn't say this, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, the Union Territory, came out and said, I will be everyone's Chief Minister. And he's sitting there quietly when the legitimate representatives of one half of the state, Jammu, are saying, please don't do this. This is an insult to our sentiments and the people who voted us. But you went on with it. Okay, one second. You say this is democracy, this is an open invitation to everybody. So, because we are in the majority, we can do what we want because we have the legitimate right on the back of our votes, viewers. You know what that is called, viewers? That's called majoritarianism. That is what they accuse the BJP of day in, day out. So they today, viewers, because they are in a majority in Kashmir, will use their mandate to force unpleasant anti-India declarations, resolutions down the throat of the rest of the nation. That is majoritarianism, viewers. That is exclusivism, viewers. That is supremacism, viewers. 3 words I've exposed the National Conference, viewers. 3 words.
Rahul, can I come in?
You please. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Isn't this majoritarian might is right?
Wrong. If you can call out us for bringing a resolution that is the reflective of the will of the people.
Which people? Which people? Make it clear.
People of Jammu and Kashmir.
No, not of Jammu, sir.
Yes,
29 seats have been won by the BJP. 29 seats have not given you the authority. 29 seats, 29 constituencies have not given you the authority. Lakhs of people have not given you the authority to go ahead with this agenda. Will you today ignore them?
Rahul, I wish you would have called out the majoritarianism that happened on 5th of August 2019 when nobody among us was taken into confidence, when all of us were put behind bars.
So you were not needed to be taken into confidence. The Supreme Court has upheld the validity of the abrogation of Article 370. Viewers, this is the same National Conference that today... No, Mr. Vani, I am asking you, has the Supreme Court not settled this issue?
You are not letting me finish, Rahul.
Okay, you tell me, has the Supreme Court not settled this issue?
You know, getting back to, you're shifting the goalposts. One, you are saying about the pandemonium. Now, you are going towards the courts.
This is not pandemonium, sir.
Let's
Don't trivialize this. This is not pandemonium.
If you are saying that the Supreme Court judgment has unanimously decided on Article 370, and what we are by bringing this resolution, we are contemptuous of the Supreme Court. No, it's not that. Okay. 2018 judgment of the same Supreme Court has held that Article 370 acquired permanent status because the Constituent Assembly ceased to exist and the President had no formal and moral obligations to go with the provisions. But when the Supreme Court recently decided unanimously, we did not disrespect the court order. What we are saying that this is a reference point. We may appeal in the future with a cordial government that will listen to the aspirations and grievances of its own people. So let's have that. Let's have a fair debate on it.
Viewers, the debate was had. It was very fair. It was in a court of law. It can't get more undilutedly fair than that. And the justices, the chief justices, their entire bench, and I've just read out, that's why I read out once again, viewers, the operative parts of that judgment. Settle the issue. This matter should not come up. This matter is only coming up, viewers, to prove to certain Indians that their views are not at any level relevant to the ruling establishment. This, as I am saying, viewers, once again, is a two-nation mindset. Let me open this up. Let me bring in the BJP's Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, this question will be asked, obviously. What have we got ourselves into? And when we are talking about this Islamist mindset taking a grip of the valley once again, Sushant Sareen, you will remember, it was not I, but it was Omar Abdullah who said that the Islamist wave is upon us when he lost the election to Engineer Rashid, whose brother is holding up that placard, viewers, which is underlining the separatism in the valley today. Sanju Verma.
Thank you, Rahul. You know, that's been a heated exchange for the last 18 minutes. I will take much less than half the time. First and foremost, I always say, the devil is in the detail. You read out some operative parts of the Supreme Court verdict pertaining to December 11, 2023, where the Supreme Court, the 5-judge bench, upheld the abrogation of Article 370. Be that as it may, I think I need to reinforce for the benefit of your viewers these few lines by the Supreme Court bench in 2023, wherein the Supreme Court said, the declaration issued by the President exercises the power and clause 3 of Article 370 in a culmination of the process of integration. Thus, we do not find that the President's exercise of powers under Clause 3 of Article 370 were mala fide. We hold the exercise of presidential powers pertaining to abrogation of Article 370 in this case to be valid. And then, very quickly, the Supreme Court went on to say, concurrence of the state government was not required to apply all provisions of the Constitution using Article 371D. So the President of India taking the concurrence of the Union government was not mala fide in this case. In simple terms, it basically means that the Supreme Court clearly said that when the then President Ramnath Kovind used the powers bestowed on him by Article 371D to abrogate Article 370, he was doing it well within the constitutional powers that have been bestowed upon him, and nothing was mala fide with respect to abrogation of the said article. And very quickly, please remember, Justice Chandrachud additionally said that paragraph 8 of the instrument of accession, which was signed on the 26th of October 1947 by none other than Maharaja Hari Singh, that clearly said that the moment the instrument of accession was signed and executed by Maharaja Hari Singh, Jammu Kashmir lost the element of sovereignty as a separate state. And Justice Chandrachud also said that when the instrument of proclamation was signed by the then Yuvraj Karan Singh on the 25th of November 1949, that proclamation clearly said that the Constitution of India supersedes any other provision that any state, including Jammu Kashmir, might have had in the past. So clearly, the instrument of accession, the Supreme Court verdict of December 11, 2023, and most importantly, in a parliamentary democracy, the Parliament on the 5th of August 2019 also upheld the abrogation of Article 370. And what did Omar Abdullah say? Do you remember what did Omar Abdullah say recently? He said abrogation of Article 370 was done by Parliament. It is not God's will, so it is reversible. And then, making a mockery of the Supreme Court, he said, so what if a 5-judge bench upheld the abrogation? Maybe if it had gone to a 7-judge bench, they may not have upheld the abrogation of Article 370. Basically, if there is anyone who's shifting the goalpost rapidly with brazen impunity, it has been the National Conference and Omar Abdullah and his father, who as recently as May 2024 made that shameless statement that, you know, do you think Pakistan churiyan pehenkar baitha hai? If you decide to take back POK, Pakistan will throw an atom bomb at India. Pakistan is not wearing bangles.
Okay.
I mean, why are you speaking like the brand ambassador of rabid Islamists from the other side of the border?
Let me ask Kamru Chaudhary, and I also want to bring in Sushant Sareen here. This is important points now. Mr. Kamru Chaudhary, can I ask you something? And be honest, put your hand on your heart. You talk about majoritarianism, and I'm not talking in the communal sense. You talk about how a majority in parliament is misused constantly, then might is right. So I'm asking you, sir, should BJP MLAs have been thrown out for merely expressing the views of those that elected them? Yes or no? Answer me this question first.
No, answer cannot be a yes or no.
Oh, it can't be a yes or no. So then tomorrow, hang on, tomorrow when the Waqf board bill is moved in parliament, because you are a minority party, how much is it? 99, 95, what is it? 99 MPs? You should be picked up and thrown out, each one of you. Through the scruff of your neck.
You have done that. 150 MPs.
Take a position, sir. You supposedly uphold the constitution of this country. Your boss runs around with the empty, by the way, empty covered viewers constitution. So I'm asking you, Mr. Please answer me tonight. Don't tonight run away from this question. This is a very important question. Should MLAs who were voicing their veto given to them by the people who elected them in the House during a democratic debate, should they have been thrown out? Yes or no, Kamru Chaudhary?
My counter question, was it necessary for 150 MPs of the opposition chucked out of the parliament by the Bharatiya Janata Party last parliament session?
Viewers, viewers, here it comes. Whataboutery. They had a problem with that.
This is not
They had a
whataboutery.
problem with
This is your
that, but they do
perception.
exactly
This is the
that and
hypocrisy that
worse,
is getting
because let me
exposed.
tell you, viewers,
You
one
blame
second,
the Congress
that
party.
was a
You blame
decision.
the
One
Congress
second,
party.
Mr.
This
Kamru
resolution
Chaudhary. I'm
that
only
is
asking you a
passed in
simple
Kashmir.
question. If
No,
you
you did
have
not let
a
it. You
consistent
permitted
belief in the Indian
BJP
Constitution,
to-
yes or no? Yes or no? Or is that also going to be a question that can't be answered in yes or no?
Rahul, you have permitted Bharatiya Janata Party a sweet amount of time. I'm just asking.
I am only
just
asking you a
1/10
fundamental
of the
question,
time.
sir, and you can't give me the answer to that question. I'm asking you, Kamru Chaudhary, should people who legitimately, given the fact that you complain about it day in, day out, okay, should they be legitimately, when they are asking questions on behalf of their constituents, be picked up and thrown out of a house? Yes or no? Simple. I'm not even talking about the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. I'm talking about the principle. Yes or no?
No, absolutely not.
No,
That's
no,
not
no,
how
absolutely
democracy
not,
is.
viewers. Then why was the Congress, that actually only has less than the number of fingers on my hand, MLAs sitting in that house, not protesting this action that was taken, viewers?
Rahul, will
Why
you
was it
permit me
allowing
just-
somebody to move an anti-India resolution, viewers?
Rahul,
They believe
can
in the
can you
Constitution.
permit
Now,
me just
second
1 minute
question.
of your
I'm going to
time?
ask you this question and I'll give you all the time to answer. Mr. Kamru Chaudhary, you say that you believe in the Constitution. What did the Constitution say? That Article 370 was a temporary provision. On the basis of this, sir, 53 presidential orders, many of them under Nehru and the Congress party were moved to water down Article 370. If you believed in the robustness of Article 370, why were these presidential orders passed, sir, under Congress regimes? Number one. Number two, viewers, and this is the second question, Mr. Chaudhary, and take your time to answer. If you believe in the Constitution, then you will know that that demands that we also follow the law of the land, which was set by the Supreme Court in this matter. If that is indeed the case, then the Supreme Court upheld the abrogation. Why are you going against the spirit of the Supreme Court? Two questions to you, sir.
Yeah, first and foremost, let me answer and specify out here what are the exact position of the Congress party and myself. Congress party, prior to the Supreme Court verdict, had opposed the abrogation, rather the manner in which it was abrogated, how the Kashmiris were insulted by reducing their statehood to a union territory. That was the Congress's main objection. Post the Supreme Court verdict, we have accepted the verdict. It hardly makes whether Amar Abdullah and the cabinet moves a resolution and gets it passed from the assembly. It's hardly immaterial out here, because most of the states has passed resolutions like this against the draconian discriminatory CA laws that was passed by the central government. There were resolutions passed against the farm laws also. There were resolutions passed against the draconian NRC law, NRC that was supposed to be there. So it's not a precedent out here that the Congress party is supporting the restoration of 370 out here. We never accept it, because 370, what did the Congress do? It was only during the Congress's regime that the central laws were extended to the Kashmir Valley out here. Jurisdiction of Supreme Court in 1954 was put into the Jammu and Kashmir.
Then why are you supporting the National Conference, sir? Then why are you supporting the National Conference that is moving that is moving a resolution that you profoundly disagree with?
Wait, BJP's partner.
Why are you supporting the National Conference?
Let me listen. BJP's partner Telugu.
Why are you supporting the National Conference? Why are you supporting the National Conference? Why are you supporting the National Conference? Why are you supporting the National Conference?
We are supporting the National Conference to provide a stable government to the state of Kashmir.
Stable government. They don't need you, sir.
Oh my
They shown it to us. They don't need you.
Part of the
Yes.
government.
This
One
man
second.
is lying rapidly through his teeth. Can I quickly come in, please, for 20 seconds?
One second. I also want to bring in Sushant Sareen. I'll bring you in right after that, Ms.
And
Verma,
most
to set the
importantly,
record
Rahul,
straight.
you have
Please, he
given
hasn't
me
spoken. No, 1 second. I want to ask this question fundamentally. Sushant Sareen, this could be Pakistan. Have we walked ourselves under Supreme Court pressure into an election that, quite frankly, goes against the national interest in some ways? I know a lot of people will say, oh, this is mainstreaming these separatists, but as I can see them, they're sitting now inside our assembly, living off all of us, getting fat paychecks for lifetime.
So Rahul, look, I think we had to hold elections. Forget the Supreme Court. If it had not said hold the elections by October, it would have said next year. What new would have happened by next year that we would have been able to hold, fresh elections in Jammu and Kashmir? We could not keep the political process out of the union territory now indefinitely. So elections had to be held. Number one. Number two. I think when the government in the center did the constitutional reforms, incidentally, everybody keeps saying Article 370 has been abrogated. It hasn't been abrogated. It's just been amended. So it was constitutional reforms that were carried out. And when those reforms were carried out, the Article 370 is still part of the statute books. It's still part of the constitution. But when those reforms were carried out, the expectation was that there would also be a kind of new political effervescence, a new political alternative that would emerge. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. What has happened, and which is why I have a slightly nuanced position, Rahul, from what you and Sanju Verma are taking. I don't entirely agree with Kamru or the gentleman from NC. But my position is that, look, okay, fine, a resolution has been passed. The pandemonium which happened today, and I think those are very unfortunate scenes, it was caused by that character, from that guy from Kupwara, whatever that fellow's name is.
No, it's not actually. This was the resolution that was brought in by the National Conference.
One second. See, the resolution which has been brought in does not say anything about Article 370. It talks about a conversation with the central government on what kind of a constitutional status the state will have. In fact, if you look at it in a proper context, that conversation has to happen between the center and the UT, because ultimately the center is committed to restoring statehood in the UT, right?
Let's not confuse statehood, sir, with something that was brought in to integrate Jammu and Kashmir and enforce the writ of the law of the land and the constitution on that particular union territory. So let's not confuse these two issues. I really don't care a fig leaf about statehood, and I don't think I can be nuanced about an attack on India's sovereignty and unity. 1 second, let me just bring you back in, Mr. Sareen. Yes.
I don't think the assembly itself was, questioning India's sovereignty or integrity. I think it was one or two of those characters, the guy who was holding that poster, Engineer Rashid's brother, and those kind of third-rate fellows. But by and large, I don't think that kind of stuff had happened. Even so, I would
releasing political prisoners, demanding everyone standing up, wanting the restoration of Article 370 would create the architecture of separatism once again. Would it or would it not? Would it not deny Valmiki's? Would it not deny citizenship rights, full, including voting rights, to Pak refugees who have come and settled in the valley? What would it do to all the various SC, ST, Valmiki communities? Think about it.
How is that, Rahul? How has that even come up? That I don't think that's in question anymore.
Okay.
Because Article 370 is not coming back unless you have the numbers to amend the constitution. Okay. Nobody has the numbers to amend the constitution.
Viewers, if that is indeed the case, if I am going to now take Sushant Sareen at face value, then this, viewers, is grandstanding, and it is dangerous. This is virtue signaling. Virtue signaling to whom, viewers? To Pakistan? To Pakistan? To all sorts of separatist elements? Sanju Verma.
May I quickly come in? Thank you. Rahul, let me quickly, not deflect and digress. I don't think we need to conflate issues. We are talking about a resolution aimed at encouraging separatism and bringing back Article 370, which has been abrogated. And I will use the word abrogated. I will not be nuanced, because the scenes that erupted on the floor of the Jammu Kashmir Assembly leave nothing to one's imagination. And if you can't speak up now, then when will you do so? I just want to say one thing. Please understand very clearly, when people sit here and give bhashan, Loktantra khatre mein hai, Samvidhan khatre mein hai, let's be very clear that in 1990, squadron leader Ravi Khanna and 3 other Indian Air Force officials were gunned down. The perpetrator was Yasin Malik. Rahul, 1 minute. Between 1990 and 2014, for 24 long years, out of those 24 long years, 19 years, it was the Congress which was in power. But guess what? It finally happened in 2020 that Yasin Malik had to present himself before the TADA court, and in 2022 he was given life imprisonment for terror funding and criminal conspiracy. I want to ask the Congress, you were giving Jadoo ki Jhappi to Yasin Malik in the chambers of the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister in question was Manmohan Singh, and you accused the BJP of flouting constitutional values. इतनी hypocrisy आप कहां से लेकर आते हो?
Well, viewers, the point about hypocrisy, the point about certain people holding up the constitution and then resorting to this sort of behavior, which is completely unconstitutional, viewers, has been exposed. We can keep nuancing this, but as far as I'm concerned, viewers, if people standing up for India's unity are picked up and thrown out of a house which is constituted to express the will of the people, then viewers, that is a travesty. Nuance or no nuance. And let's move on, because there is a very important debate that we must focus on. Rahul Gandhi, viewers, has already accused the Modi government of endangering democracy. He has accused the Prime Minister of being a fascist. The Congress has taken and sown the seeds of its campaign overseas. You've seen the many interactions that Rahul Gandhi has had with students, academics overseas, many international academics who have met him, and even some foreign legislators now quote Gandhi chapter and verse to run India down under Modi. In the run-up to the 2024 elections, Rahul Gandhi claimed that Modi would rewrite the constitution to terminate reservations for Dalits and OBCs. He succeeded in scaring a large number of those people from those communities into voting for his party. But now the Congress scion has come up with a new theory. In an article he has penned, he claims that the Modi government is an oligarchy, that a close group of unelected people who control everything, particularly business. This monopoly, especially of NDA-favored businessmen, he says, has acquired a chokehold, just like the East India Company did, that is killing entrepreneurship, innovation, depressing job creation and wealth creation. This is what he's saying. He says, and I quote, India was silenced by the East India Company. The company choked India by partnering with, bribing and threatening our more pliant Maharajas and Nawabs. A new breed of monopolists has taken its place. They have amassed colossal wealth. Even as India has become far more unequal and unfair for everybody else, our institutions no longer belong to our people. They do the bidding of monopolists. Describing these oligarchic groups as businesses is misleading. When you compete with them, you're not competing with a company, you're fighting the machinery of the Indian state, unquote, viewers. That article has about 1,000 words. These are just a few. If you were to read it, you would think that we are not just an oligarchy, viewers. We are worse than Putin's Russia. We are a kleptocracy, where a group of people steal wealth, pocket it and take it abroad. Viewers, that was happening. Yes, it was. Under whose rule? Who said, viewers, that out of 1 rupee, almost 99 paisa doesn't reach the poor? Who said that? It was Rahul Gandhi's father, Rajiv Gandhi. The BJP slammed Rahul Gandhi for his irresponsible and baseless fear-mongering. It has instead asked him to walk the talk by first ending his family's monopoly over the Congress, to let the party grow and turn into an effective opposition, which is in the interest of a healthy democracy. Smriti Irani, BJP leader, says Congress party's scare tactics have been rejected by the voters several times. They have disrespected freedom fighters who fought the East India Company. A party running on a family-driven private limited model can't give moral lessons on East India Company and its rapaciousness. She's right, viewers. Others have accused him of being a closet Marxist-Leninist, of being anti-capital. Facing flack, Rahul Gandhi has issued a clarification but has also reiterated the charge. Listen in.
I want to make something absolutely clear. I've been projected by my opponents in the BJP to be anti-business. I'm not anti-business in the least. I am anti-monopoly. I am anti-creating oligopolies. I am anti-domination of business by 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 people. I started my career as a management consultant. And I understand the type of things that are required for a business to succeed.
Viewers, the command and control economy was an invention of Rahul Gandhi's grandmother. The license permit Raj that actually stymied entrepreneurial energy was an invention of his grandmother. But beyond that, today, in today's context, is Rahul Gandhi being true to the facts? At least the statistics don't seem to bear this out, viewers. And once again, I bring you the hard facts. No other show brings you the hard facts, viewers. Rise in ease of doing business, viewers. From 2014, India has risen 75 points almost, maybe more. You can see the numbers. The hard facts don't bear out Rahul Gandhi's charge that new players are not getting a look in because the oligarchs supported by the state are finishing off competition and therefore new entrepreneurial activity. Look at the number of startups. Look at point number 2. They are flourishing in India. New startups in India have increased from 350 startups in 2014 to 1,17,254 startups today. Just look at the comparison. Almost 1,17,000 startups. He's off the mark on the point of innovation too. The number of patent applications. Every time you come up with new technological breakthroughs, you have to file patents. They are rising dramatically. There were 1,97,370 patents filed between 2008 to 2013. This has increased to 3,14,680 between 2018 to 2023. If you just compare the numbers, you will see how much faster people are applying for new patents. There's innovation happening. Yes, it may not be happening at the level of in America or maybe even other advanced economies, but we're getting there, viewers. We're not regressing. New enterprises are coming up. In fact, double the number of companies have been set up since 2014. Rise in total number of companies at the end of March 2024. The country had a total of over 26 lakh companies. This compared to just around 14 lakh companies in 2014. More money is being raised to expand business activity than ever before. IPO generating more money in India. Between 2007 and 2014, Indian IPOs raised an average of 15,406 crores. Between 2015 and 2022, this amount was an average of rupees 45,000 crores. 3 times. There are, of course, a host of other statistics. Credit offtake has been growing rapidly. But more than this, if oligarchs are truly running India and destroying lives, why is Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and her husband investing in some of the very blue chip companies that Rahul Gandhi singles out for blame? Why are Congress government seeking investments from some of these major companies and thereby incentivizing them, viewers? Why is he incentivizing oligarchs in the states that they run? Karnataka, Telangana, previously Rajasthan, Himachal, why? Let's ask these questions, viewers, tonight. Let's ask them without fear or favor. I want to first begin with Sumansi Raman. Dr. Raman is here with us. Dr. Raman, I mean, come on. This is patently bizarre. I think Rahul Gandhi needs to take out patents for his bizarre theories. They might get copied in America.
Rahul Gandhi spoke about monopolies and why monopolies are bad for any economy. Now, we have to look at
any economy.
Okay. Any economy. Monopolies are not good for any economy.
Right.
And his point was about monopolies being aided by the state. So, this is very clear as to who he is referring to and what is actually going on. So, you can take sector after sector after sector and the number of major, today or 10 years ago, there were how many? 20, 15 telecom companies in the mobile telephony space 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Today there are 2.5. How many major airlines are there in India? There were 7 or 8, not even 15 years ago. Today there are 2. Every major sector.
2 airlines?
There are two major airlines in this country. How many are there? Now you tell me. Am I missing?
major.
Am I missing any major airline in this country? To my
There's just
knowledge,
been one launched last year. Unfortunately, the promoter passed away. His name, as you know, is Rakesh Jhunjhunwala.
yes, sir. If you call them a major airline, if an airline has got 3% or 4% market share and they are a major airline,
That's not the
I agree
government's
with you.
problem. That is a problem
That's not
of
the
the
government-
airline not
No,
being
no.
able to escalate
No, but
into
when
something
there
bigger.
were-
The Kingfisher airline was there.
One
Why
second,
did it
Rahul.
go
Can I
bankrupt?
finish?
Dr.
Can I
Raman,
finish?
because of cronyism. Yes or no?
No.
Under whom?
Multiple.
Oh,
excuse
multiple
me.
reasons.
So Jet Airways went bankrupt because of cronyism. Kingfisher Airlines went
Under whom?
bankrupt
Under
because
whom?
of cronyism.
Under
All-
whom?
Forget. No. One
Under
minute.
whom?
Now tell me that. No. 1 second. Tell me the telecom business now. Tell me the cement. Today,
Okay.
18% or 15% or close or to India's cement is being controlled by one group.
Right.
And it's set to rise.
Okay.
Right. What are we talking
First of all,
about?
viewers,
Rahul Gandhi has
can you
making
tell me, Dr. Raman, if any of the
valid point.
statistics that I have pointed out tonight are wrong? Factually wrong. Any of the
Look,
statistics?
Startups have absolutely.
I'm not talking about
nothing to do
startups,
with
sir. I'm not
monopoly.
just talking about
You said-
startups. I'm
you
talking
said
about patent
there is a
applications,
thriving
the
startup
total rise in the number of
ecosystem,
companies,
there is innovation.
IPOs generating more money in India. Why is this money being raised?
Look, excuse me, Rahul. If you are referring to the share market, what proportion?
I'm not
of
talking
India
about the share
invests in
market. I'm talking about legitimate
Who is the
business
IPO relevant?
We have some
activity
other
to
voices
raise
as
money from the markets.
From the markets.
For
yes.
what? For
proportion
whom?
of India invests in the market? You're again
boy.
proving Rahul Gandhi's point.
Okay.
May I
The
come in
poor
here?
don't invest yet in India's markets. The vast
Sir,
majority
are
of
people
India
not taking
does
bank
invest in the
loans?
market.
No, hang on. Are people or entrepreneurs not taking bank loans?
Why are you?
Okay, let me bring in an economist here. Dr. Raman, look, I will move from now somebody who is not being able to substantiate Rahul Gandhi's argument
clearly
beyond saying he's talking
substantiated.
generally.
I've given
No,
you
viewers,
four
he's not
examples.
talking generally.
I
Rahul
have
Gandhi
given
said
you
the following,
five
and let me
examples.
point this out to you. He says, you're not competing with a company, you're fighting the machinery of the Indian state. He's not talking about a global problem. Viewers, this is not Putin's Russia. The same Congress party then, Dr. Raman, why does it ask all these so-called oligarchs to come and invest in its states? This is an answer that no one will give you, not even the Congress party, viewers. PK Basu,
Can I
where
ask-
do you come in on this? One second. PK Basu, yes.
Okay, let's just see what the situation was in the car market prior to economic reforms. There were two producers. One was called Padmini, the other was called Ambassador, and they produced very little. Today, let's look at the car market. There are a myriad of producers, domestic and foreign. We have a highly competitive, one of the most competitive car markets in the world. Yes, you will often find that in certain sectors, as pointed out by Mr. Raman, there are, there's been a reduction in competition, not because of the intervention of the state, but because some of the players, if you look at telecoms, many of the players collapsed because they were uncompetitive. They did not succeed in the marketplace. So yes, in certain sectors you have a little bit of reduced competition, but in most of the economy, India is one of the most vibrant, competitive marketplaces in the world. That's one. Second, if you look at startups, the ironic thing is Rahul Gandhi's article mentioned a plethora, about 25 names, just out of the blue. Now, Startup India was one of the major themes of the Prime Minister Modi's government right from the start, right from day one. Startup India has been one of his major themes, and it is one of the great success stories of this government. Prior to this, no government had ever spoken of generating a startup culture in this country. There is now a vibrant startup ecosystem that is thriving. India has well over 30 unicorns that have emerged, and in the course of that, some of those unicorns have gone bust. That too is a healthy capitalist system that is functioning well. You have very few monopolies in this country and very few oligopolies. So, basically this is a classic Marxist attempt from Rahul Gandhi to run down the Indian state and the success of India's vibrant, market-driven economy.
Sanju Verma, on the points that Dr. Raman raised.
In particular,
would you like to respond to him?
Okay.
Is Mr. Basu willing
Can I
to
just
speak
quickly
about
come in,
why
please?
telecom?
There are certain sectors, Ms. Dr. Sumansi Raman, there are certain sectors, but don't make that about the entire Indian economy, please. Let's not be selective, please. Yes.
Let me come in. Mr. Raman had his turn. He spoke at length. Now, let me be very clear. Taking off from what PK Basu said, we are all aware that there are more than 117,000 startups. There are actually more than 110 unicorns. But that is, not the limited point. The bigger point of the debate is this, that prior to 2014, you did have the DBT, direct benefit transfer. Nothing happened. And in the last 10 years, more than 34.5 lakh crore, which is more than 10% of India's GDP, has been transferred. That amount of money has been transferred directly into the bank accounts of the poor and the vulnerable. More than 54 crore Jan Dhan bank accounts have been opened, out of which 55% beneficiaries are women and 78% beneficiaries are Dalits. Then let us talk about Ayushman Bharat. More than 35 crore Ayushman cards have been issued, of which 72% beneficiaries are Adivasi, Dalit and OBC women. Then let us talk about PM Ujjwala Yojana. More than 10 crore LPG cylinders have been issued at subsidized rates.
He's talking about an
I will come to monopolism. Let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing very clearly. There are two kinds of monopolies, state monopoly and private sector monopoly. Who nationalized Air India in 1953? It was Jawaharlal Nehru. Who nationalized Indian banking sector in 1969? It was Indira Gandhi. Who again nationalized India's coal sector in 1971-72? It was Indira Gandhi. The Indian coal sector went into the red. Indian banking sector went into the red. And we all know that Air India was making 20 crore losses per hour. Now look at the beauty of it. State Bank of India made 1.64 lakh crore profit in the last 4 years alone, more than what it made in the previous 30 years. Every year, State Bank of India makes profits to the tune of 50 to 65,000 crore, whereas in 2014-15, State Bank of India, which accounts for 25% of India's outstanding credit, was loss-making. Today, we have more than 6 crore MSMEs, out of which 87% are profitable. And during 2011, there were more than 5 crore MSMEs, of which 94.6% were loss-making. So if you're talking of, and by the way, Mr. Sumansi Raman, you made one mistake. The biggest cement company in India is, can I finish, Rahul? This is not fair. He made a mistake.
Dr. Raman.
He made a mistake. That is why I say it is extremely dumb to have people who know nothing speaking on economics. Sumansi Raman was obviously alluding to Adani because he said, right, who owns the largest cement company. Can I finish, Rahul?
Let her finish, sir.
Dr.
Raman, let her finish.
Can I finish?
She's answering you.
Dr.
Listen to her.
Please,
you can respond to her. But if you don't want to listen to her, you want to disrupt the debate, then I presume it's because you don't want to be in a position where you might be exposed. Okay. Listen to her.
Can I finish? Yeah, the biggest cement company in India does not belong to Ambani or Adani. It belongs to Kumar Mangalam Birla of the Aditya Birla Group. The biggest cement company does not belong to Ambani or Adani. Do you know that much? You do not even know the basics. Ultratech Cement is India's biggest cement company. It is Asia's biggest cement company. It is the world's third largest cement company. And it is owned by Kumar Mangalam Birla.
Let Dr. Raman come in. Let Dr. Raman come in. Dr. Raman, respond.
Okay, first of all, I find it ridiculous for her to even make a contradictory argument within 30 seconds. First she says nationalization ruined all the sectors. Then she says State Bank has made record profits. Now, please tell me.
Yes, because the state of government in State Bank of India has come down. The government stake in State Bank of India is today barely 56%.
No, one
State
second,
Bank of India
please.
was completely owned by the government
One
about 30,
second.
40 years back. You don't know the basics, Sumansi Raman.
Okay.
Dr. Raman, I think you're
Okay,
missing the
Bring
wood
up
for the
the
trees
right
here.
of the
You're making a
DMK.
valiant
Stick to
attempt
the
at
right
defending
of
the
the DMK.
indefensible.
Aata jata kuch hai
There is
nahi.
a fact here. Now,
Who
viewers, the
owns
banking
Ambuja
sector,
Cement?
Suman C. Raman
Who
talks
owns
about.
Penna Cements?
One second.
Who owns ACC?
One
Who
second,
owns Ambuja
one
Cements?
second,
Who owns
Dr.
Penna
Raman,
Cements? Who is
Dr.
now
Raman,
bidding for 2 more cement companies?
Dr. Raman,
Please give me.
Dr.
Why do you
Raman.
get this illiterate guy on
Okay,
your show?
just one second, just one
Why do you
second.
get this
Let me just
illiterate
step in.
Suman C. Raman on your show?
Viewers, tomorrow
Who
people
controls-
will turn around and say that in America, because there are only 3 big IT companies, really, the massive ones that Dr. Sumansi, major players as he calls them, that means America must also be an oligarchy. I mean, this is slightly bizarre. Viewers, how many airline plane manufacturers are there in the world? You can count them on the tip of your fingers. Does that mean that the entire world is today given to oligarchism? There are economies of scale. Certain industries, unfortunately, are difficult to. No, hang on, just 1 minute. Let me finish, sir. Are certainly
No, the
difficult
argument-
to break, and you have reduced competition. It is called
Ask Suman C.
merger.
Raman the
Anyhow.
spelling of the word oligarchy.
Okay, forget
Does
that. I
Suman C.
don't want
Raman
to
even know
trivialize
how
this
to
debate.
spell
I'll leave it
oligarchy?
at this, viewers, because I think the subject matter has been so sophomorically introduced into the public domain by Rahul Gandhi that, quite frankly, it becomes difficult to elevate the level of the discussion. Even when you give the facts, viewers, it becomes difficult because just one fact kills the entire argument that he is making. I'll leave it at this.
Hello and welcome to the special edition of Vantage. We are coming to you live from the White House. The election is over. Counting is still underway. There are races that haven't been called yet, but they don't really matter anymore because we have a winner, Donald J. Trump. He will become the 47th President of the United States. Joe Biden has already invited him to the White House to discuss the transition of power. So what will Trump 2.0 look like? Who will be on his team? What are his plans for the first 100 days in office? What will his presidency mean for India and South Asia? And Trump isn't the only winner in this election. There's also Elon Musk. He bet on the right horse and it's paying off. We'll tell you who else is set to gain from this Trump presidency. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has finally conceded. She spoke to her supporters yesterday and said that she will keep fighting. But is her dream run in politics over? Also, who are the Democrats blaming for this loss? Is it Harris or someone else? All this and more coming up on the show tonight. First up, the headlines. Major political crisis hits Europe's largest economy. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz fires his finance minister, triggering the collapse of Berlin's ruling three-party coalition. Scholz says he will seek a vote of confidence by mid-January that would pave the way for early elections by March. India calls out Canada's hypocrisy over freedom of speech, slams Ottawa's move to block an Australian news outlet. The action came just hours after it carried a press conference of India's External Affairs Minister S. Shivshankar. Ties between New Delhi and Ottawa have been strained since Prime Minister Trudeau's baseless accusations of an Indian hand in the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Israeli strikes hit the area near the Beirut airport, but operations at Lebanon's only international airport have not been hit. The strike came after Hezbollah targeted an Israeli military base close to the Ben Gurion airport. Since September, nearly 3,000 people have been killed in Israeli strikes on Lebanon. Clashes erupt in Mozambique. Police fire tear gas to disperse protesters in the capital. The main opposition leader had called for a protest against the election results. The ruling party won the October election. Since then, the Southern African nation, has been rocked by violence. Myanmar's embattled junta chief visits key ally China and holds discussions with Chinese Premier Li Qiang. It's his first trip to China since seizing power in Myanmar in a 2021 coup. The junta has been battling a major rebel offensive since last year. And the Australian Prime Minister promises to ban children under 16 from social media. The tech giants would be held responsible for enforcing this age limit and face hefty fines if young users slip through the cracks. The proposed new law is among the world's strictest measures aimed at children. There are two Americas today. If you walk around Washington, D.C., you can feel that. One group is thrilled about Trump's win. The other feels it's the end of America. And the middle ground? There doesn't seem to be any. In this divided climate, Kamala Harris broke her silence. She was slated to speak on Tuesday night, but as the results came in, she cancelled it. The campaign said it wanted some time, perhaps to make sense of the drubbing. Then yesterday, Harris returned to her campaign site, Howard University in D.C. She said the election is over, but the fight is not.
In our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together.
To her credit, she didn't say stop the count. I know it sounds funny, but that's how low the bar is. Meanwhile, Trump had a busy day in Florida. He is at his home in Mar-a-Lago. Early on Wednesday, he delivered a victory speech, but after that, no one's seen him. Trump was busy responding to congratulatory messages. He also spoke to some world leaders like Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Britain's Keir Starmer, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Ukraine's Zelensky, French President Macron, and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. All of them congratulated Trump. They also called for deepening ties under his leadership. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris also called Trump. Harris called him to concede the election and Biden invited him to the White House. Harris apparently told Trump to be a president for all Americans. Trump responded by praising her strength and tenacity. I guess that's politics for you. Your mortal enemies on the campaign and reluctant friends afterwards. But Harris and Trump talking to each other will not solve America's divisions. Yes, Trump won easily, but the people are deeply divided. Listen to some of them.
I was very confident that Kamala and Walz would win, but I guess our country is more uneducated than I thought, and I honestly gave the people the benefit of the doubt, which I guess I was wrong for.
I am at peace. I'm happy because now I see a future. I see that I can celebrate, and I see that something good is going to happen in the next 4 years. And if God wants, 8 more years with J.D. Vance.
I'm from New York. I've known this guy a long time. It's crushing to see him back in this situation. I honestly don't recognize my country.
All his life, he's been building and constructions and everything. He works with the people. And as an immigrant, I know a lot, but he says he hates Mexicans. He says he does this. No, he hates criminals. He doesn't like criminals.
Like I said, divided. Outside America, countries are bracing for Trump 2.0. They know what he stands for, but they also know that he is unpredictable.
We talked about having strong solidarity and partnership in the Asia-Pacific and global region based on the South Korea-US alliance. And Trump first talked about North Korea, not just talking about the North Korean nuclear program, as he may have an interest in North Korea. The absolutely convincing result of the elections in America, the clear leadership of President Trump. I congratulate him on this victory.
I do not know Trump personally. I know Trump by listening to, watching, and reading his articles and by watching him on television. But I hope that the coexistence will be civilized, as I had with Bush, who was from the Republican Party, as I had with Obama, as I had with Biden.
Many things will certainly be different under a government led by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has always made that clear publicly. Our messages are clear. Firstly, Germany will remain a reliable transatlantic partner.
As expected, the last 24 hours have been interesting. Heartbreak for some, elation for others, and nervousness for the world. Amid all of this, a lot of people have been asking one crucial question. What happens to Trump's legal cases? Remember, he faces dozens of lawsuits across the US, some for financial fraud, some for sexual abuse, and also for trying to subvert the 2020 election. In one case, in New York, he was convicted. So what happens to these? Can Trump pardon himself for the New York case? Well, the answer is no. Presidents can only pardon federal crimes, and the New York case is a state lawsuit, so Trump cannot pardon himself. He is due to be sentenced on November 26th, but chances are it will be delayed. No judge will have the guts to drag a president-elect to the courthouse. And afterwards, what sort of punishment will Trump get? If it's jail time, he may be asked to serve it after he leaves office, which is in early 2029. If it's house arrest or community service, imagine the logistical issues. How can a president be confined to his house? The problem is, there is no precedent for this. No convicted felon has ever been president of the US. So the New York judge faces a tough call. Beyond that, Trump also has federal cases. They are being investigated by the Department of Justice, a department that he will soon run. The man in charge of the probe is Jack Smith. Trump has promised to fire him within seconds of taking office. So Smith is doing the wise thing. He is winding down the investigation himself. But even that may not save his job. It tells you what's in store for the next 4 years. As president, Trump cannot be prosecuted, but he can be subjected to legal lawsuits. In fact, a lot of them are already pending. Trump has been asked to pay $570 million to different civil cases. He can use the might of the White House to delay that. Can he do that? Or maybe intimidate the defendants? America is in uncharted waters now, both legally and politically. Trump's own leadership and maturity will matter a lot in this time. Let's see how he tackles it. So Donald Trump is celebrating his win. He's speaking to leaders, he's spending time with family, and he's currently camping in Mar-a-Lago. That's his luxury resort in Florida. Meanwhile, his team is at work to prepare for the transition of power. Hectic meetings are underway. The first priority is to pick office bearers. That's candidates for the Trump cabinet. Several people are being vetted. And while this process is in focus only now, it began quite some time ago. That's right, the battle for these jobs began long before Election Day. So who are the top picks? Who are the people who will make up the cabinet for Trump 2.0? First, of course, is the Vice President. Now, we already know who that will be. J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate. Vance is 40 years old. He is the first millennial on a major party's presidential ticket, one of the youngest elected vice presidents in America. He will also be the first former Marine to hold this post. So a lot of firsts right there. J.D. Vance used to be a venture capitalist. In 2016, he wrote a memoir called Hillbilly Elegy. That's what shot him to fame. In 2017, he called Trump, and I'm quoting, a moral disaster. Clearly, he's changed his views since then. In 2022, he ran for the first time for political office, and now, 2 years later, he is the vice president-elect. Next up is Secretary of State, the person shaping America's foreign policy, especially with 2 wars underway. So it is a crucial post. And there are a few choices here. One of them is Rick Grenell, Trump's former ambassador to Germany. He has a tough stance on NATO, also on defense spending, which makes him one of Trump's top picks. There's also Bill Hagerty, Trump's former ambassador to Japan. He is known for his strong views on China. Also in the running is Marco Rubio, Florida senator and a Trump ally since 2016. Then there's the defense secretary, another important position. And there are a lot of contenders here too, but there's one name that is emerging stronger than the others, Mike Pompeo. He's already worked under Trump as CIA head and Secretary of State. So Pompeo could be back for a second stint. Fourth on the list is Treasury Secretary. Trump won because he pledged to fix the economy, so he needs someone who can do that. The top pick is Scott Bessent. He is a hedge fund investor, also an economic advisor to Trump. He supported his use of tariffs before. Another contender is Larry Kudlow, a prominent TV financial analyst. He was the director of Trump's National Economic Council. Fifth is the health secretary. Again, many names in the mix here, but only one stands out, and that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He abandoned his own presidential bid to endorse Trump. He wants to make America healthy again, and Trump seems to like that. He's promised to let Kennedy, and I'm quoting, go wild with health. But it's going to be difficult. Even Republicans are unlikely to confirm this appointment. So RFK Jr. may not get the job after all. We'll have to wait and see. But he could still influence health policies, maybe as a White House health czar. And finally, there's the chief of staff. During his last 4 years in the White House, Donald Trump had 4 chiefs of staff. That's a very high attrition rate for such a position. So he may want to avoid it this time, and that means picking loyalists like Susie Wiles, Trump's campaign manager, or Kevin McCarthy, the former US House Speaker. Those are the important positions, but some other names are being floated too, like Indian origin Kash Patel. He's a Trump loyalist. In his previous cabinet, Patel was a national security official. Now he's being considered again, possibly for an intelligence role, like the CIA director or the director of national intelligence. And we also have Elon Musk, of course. He doesn't want a cabinet position. He wants an entire new department. It's called DOGE. That's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. The Tesla CEO wants to lead it to make the government run smoother. So those are some of Donald Trump's top picks. We don't know who he will choose eventually, but we know what his top criterion is, and that is loyalty. He talked about it on the Joe Rogan podcast. He said he regretted picking some people the last time. A lot of them abandoned him, so he wouldn't want to make the same mistakes. But while Trump may have his favorites, his party may not agree with all of them. You see, they were all behind him, united behind him during the campaign, but when it comes to running the government, there's a split. You have your traditional Republicans, they want a strong foreign policy, endless wars and cutting down social spending. Then there's the populists, your J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's son Don Jr. and even Tucker Carlson. They don't want the wars. They want to cut military aid. They want to boost industries. So that will be a battle going forward. We'll have to wait and see how it impacts the functioning of the Trump government. After he picks his team, Trump will get down to business. America is dealing with a host of problems. Chief among them are the economy and illegal immigration. Trump based his campaign on these issues. He promised to fix them, and that's why he was elected for a second term. So what will he tackle first? Where will he start? Let's go through what the first 100 days of his second term could look like, starting with day one.
We're going to turn it around. It's going to happen really fast, too. Two things. We're going to, first day, first hour, we can do many things in the first, but first, we're going to drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill was Trump's war cry throughout the election campaign. It was a solution to fix the economy, lower the energy prices and bring drilling jobs back to the US. Trump says he will expedite drilling permits, clear any pending pipeline projects and increase the sales of offshore drilling rights for oil and gas. It's a drastic departure from Joe Biden's green policies. But Trump is having none of that. His return means that a return to old-school fossil fuel exploitation in overdrive. And he says that he will enable all of this as soon as he takes office. Then comes the other big challenge, migration. Trump has day one plans for that too.
On November 5th, 2024, this will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history.
Trump has a two-pronged approach to deal with the migration problem. First, getting rid of illegal immigrants who are already in the US with a massive deportation drive. Trump says that he will round up all undocumented migrants and kick them out. Can he really do that? Well, it is possible because Trump has an ace up his sleeve.
I'll invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Did you know that? I had to go back that far. We couldn't find anything because modern day politicians, even sort of old, nobody had the courage of these original people.
Trump had to go very far back, but he found a law that could allow him to deport people. America's Alien Enemies Act from 1798. Trump and his advisors have done their homework and they think that this law will help them execute their deportation plan on day one. So that's the first prong of his plan to deal with illegal immigration. The second is making Mexico a buffer.
But now we have a new president in Mexico. Supposed a very nice woman, they say. I haven't met her. And I'm going to inform her on day one or sooner that if they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country, I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America.
Trump plans to fortify America's southern border to stop new illegal immigrants from getting in. He plans to bring back his Remain in Mexico program, forcing asylum seekers to wait in Mexico while their applications get processed. But for that, the Mexican government must cooperate. And here's how he will ensure that. Tighten the economic screws and keep raising tariffs until Mexico gives in. Trump has promised to do all of this on just day one. It is an ambitious agenda, but his team says they're ready. They're preparing a set of executive orders, presidential decrees that he can sign on day one in office to get the ball rolling. After this, his plans will get executed the old-fashioned way, via Congress. Trump's Republican Party has already flipped the US Senate. They may retain control of the House of Representatives too. We're waiting for those results. If that happens, they get the trifecta. Control of both houses of Congress plus the presidency. The Republican Party will control all these three arms of government. Then nothing can stop Trump from passing the laws that he wants. If that happens, we can also expect tax cuts. Within days of Trump taking charge, Republican Congress leaders are reportedly circulating this letter. It shows that tax cuts are on top of the agenda. There will be other important issues to address too, but tax cuts, drilling and deportation are the focus of Trump's first 100 days in office. So that's the 100-day plan. But what about the time leading up to that? What do the next few weeks look like for Donald Trump? Well, there are two parts to it. The first is traditions. The president-elect has a lot of places to visit and a lot of hands to shake. The second part is the work, picking cabinet members and White House staff. So we decided to chart Donald Trump's next few weeks. Where is he now? When will he come to Washington? And what happens after that? Here's a report. This is home base for Donald Trump. His residence in Florida